Survival in the End of the World plus System plus Space plus Decisive Assassination plus IQ Online plus Self-Interested plus Cool Writing. The apocalypse may be a game of gods, using the posture of punishment to make judgments on humanity. But I won't willingly go and be that prisoner being tried. Chapter 1. Returning from the end of the world, enemy proactively visits the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You two bitches, even if I were a ghost, I wouldn't let you go. In the simple and tidy room, Ran-Yun roared and sat down from the bed in shock. He was panting heavily, and his forehead was covered in a constant overflow of cold sweat. It's like having a terrifying nightmare just now. You can carefully recall everything you have experienced before, as if you are vividly remembered. Even the pain of being stabbed into the body by a sharp blade is still spreading in the chest to this day. What's going on? I shouldn't have just been killed by Zhao Tai and Su Jianing, that pair of men and women, right? Wrinkling her eyebrows tightly, Ran-Yun turned her eyes and looked around. When everything around him, familiar yet somewhat unfamiliar, caught the eye, it immediately left Ran-Yun in a daze. Isn't this the dormitory I rented? The face, still in shock, was covered with a bewildered expression. When Ran-Yun turned his face and saw his handsome and scarless face through the dressing mirror. In a state of shock, I quickly picked up my phone from the bedside table. Blue Star Calendar, August 18, 2024 at 18:00. After seeing the time displayed on the screen, Ran-Yun immediately widened his eyes. He ran to the window in a panic and looked up. After seeing the blood moon gradually climbing up the sky in that round, Ran-Yun finally settled on his inner speculation. I was born again. And it was reborn 2 hours before the end of the world. The blood moon is in the sky, and the cracks in time and space appear. The eerie aura of spiritual energy is sweeping across the world. Affected by it, all living things above the blue star began to undergo mutations, and the great cataclysm began. All of this is vividly remembered by Ran-Yun. He never expected that he would be reborn back at this time point before the end of the world. But why would I be reborn? Is it because before I died, I swallowed the divine core. A series of questions lingered in Ran-Yun's heart, leaving him puzzled. But it won't take him long to figure out why all of this is happening. Dong dong dong. A rapid knocking on the door suddenly rang out. Ran-Yun tightened her grip and, due to the conditioned reflex formed in the apocalypse, immediately picked up the fruit knife from the bedside table and rushed to the door, pressing her body against the door. Who? Ran-Yun asked cautiously outside. As soon as the words fell, a burst of angry questioning came from outside the door. What are you pretending to be foolish, Ran-Yun? You called me yourself and said you wanted to discuss the dowry. Did you forget? Upon hearing the familiar voice, Ran-Yun suddenly clenched the fruit knife in his hand. The excited emotions suddenly dissipated in his heart, even causing his entire body to tremble faintly. No mistake. Absolutely not wrong. This voice is exactly the slut Su Jianing who betrayed herself. My former self was so deeply in love with this woman, and I did everything I could to protect her in the apocalypse. However, what Ran-Yun's efforts earned was only heartless betrayal. It was precisely because Su Jianing betrayed the secret of Ran-Yun obtaining the divine source core to Zhao Tai, and cooperated with Zhao Tai to design Ran-Yun, that he became a piece of fish that could be slaughtered. In order to fully obtain the power of the divine source core in Ran-Yun's body, Zhao Tai cruelly drained his entire body of blood. And Su Jianing was even more insane, bringing a big pot to stew Ran-Yun's whole body. Because only in this way can the power of the divine source core in Ran-Yun's body be squeezed out without leaving a trace. By the way, you can also borrow this pot of stewed meat made by Ran-Yun to improve the food. It was not until the moment before his death that Ran-Yun learned that Su Jianing and Zhao Tai, a dog man and woman, had already colluded before the end of the world. Nowadays, the enemy is knocking on the door, which truly makes Ran Yun grateful from the bottom of his heart. He was treated well by the innocent. Just returned from Rebirth, I immediately got this opportunity to wield the sword against my enemies. Kill her. We must kill her this time. Creak. With an excited mood, Ran Yun eagerly opened the door. I saw Su Jianing, dressed in a pink buttock skirt and with a hot figure, holding her phone as if she was seriously replying to a short message sent by someone. However, just as Ran Yun opened the door, she hurriedly pressed the screen of her phone onto her plump chest, as if afraid of any secret that Ran Yun might discover. Her gloomy eyes captured Su Jianing's series of small movements. Ran Yun also guessed roughly that she must have been in secret contact with Zhao Tai just now. Why did it take so long to open the door? Why are you grinding and chattering in your room? With an impatient expression, Su Jianing pushed Ran Yun away. After walking into the room, Su Jianing asked directly, "Tell me. How have you been thinking about the dowry?" Although raising the dowry from 180,000 to 360,000 may be a bit difficult for you, my younger brother has also reached the age of marriage. As an older sister, I still need to help him, don't I? Besides, buying an eyebrow pencil now costs 79 yuan. As a beautiful woman like me, asking you a dowry of 360,000 yuan is not too much, so I advise you not to be ignorant at all costs. 1,000 pieces of gold are easy to obtain, but true love is hard to find. Will this dowry go up or not? Give me a heartwarming word now. Su Jianing had a cold face, exuding a sense of disdain from above. But her words have just finished. I'll raise the nickel. Ran Yun roared angrily, slapping her hand. Pop. After a crisp sound, Su Jianing was knocked down on the sofa. The brain melon seeds were buzzing, and there was a burning pain on the cheeks that almost made Su Jianing cry on the spot. You! How dare you hit me? Are you crazy? Su Jianing looked incredulous, unable to believe that Ran Yun, who was always obedient to her, would suddenly hit her today. Why can't I hit you? Ran Yun sneered and reached out his left hand to pinch Su Jianing's soft throat. You're such a second-hand person, do you think you're worth more? Do you still think that I don't know about you looking for men outside without me? If I guess correctly, the person you just contacted must be Zhao Tai, right? The cold smile on her face became increasingly gloomy, and Ran Yun directly revealed the fruit knife hidden behind her. Seeing this scene, Su Jianing immediately panicked. Ran Yun, what are you doing? I love you so much, how could I possibly look for other men behind your back? Calm down, it's not a big deal. I won't raise the dowry, okay? Do you refuse to admit it even when you're on the brink of death? With a hint of mockery in his sneer, Ran Yun lifted his hand and grabbed Su Jianing's phone, quickly flipping through the chat records between her and Zhao Tai. The filthy and explicit content is unsightly. There are even several selfie videos sent by Su Jianing to Zhao Tai. The content of making a fuss and selling waves made Ran Yun feel nauseous. Is that what you said about loving me? Su Jianing, you are so despicable. Faced with irrefutable facts, Su Jianing's eyes were filled with disbelief. But only a moment later, her emotions began to shift from panic to a natural sense of confidence and fearlessness. That's right. I just went looking for a man behind your back, what's wrong? Perhaps you think this is a kind of harm to you, but aside from the facts, do you have no responsibility at all? Like you, a useless person who can't even earn 50,000 yuan every month, is it worth Su Jianing's youth? I just want to have a more stable and happy reliance, is that also wrong? Do you think you can scare me with a broken knife? You have the guts to kill me. If you dare not, you are not a man. Su Jianing became more and more excited as she spoke, as if the wrong person was Ran Yun. And her words finally made Ran Yun's heart sink with a long-lasting killing intent, completely erupting at this moment. Su Jianing, you are indeed an incurable woman. The cold words fell, and the fruit knife in Ran Yun's hand suddenly thrust out. At the moment when blood spurted out, Ran Yun's heart suddenly surged with an indescribable sense of pleasure. In the last 3 years of the apocalypse, the humiliation I endured with hatred was finally repaid at this moment. At this very moment. Ding! Congratulations on the host's revenge. The system has been successfully activated. Chapter 2. Endless Attribute System in the Apocalypse. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Host information received, end of world infinite attribute bound successfully, system functions begin to synchronize, a mechanical sound suddenly appeared in Ran Yun's mind. Immediately, he widened his eyes in astonishment. Bedroom. System. Ran Yun couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The result is the next second. Ding. This system is a legitimate system, please pay attention to your quality. Ran Yun was speechless for a moment, but he didn't expect this system to be quite civilized. But even so, he never expected to encounter the legendary system. Is this also due to the reason of that divine source core? The unexpected situation plunged Ran Yun into a brief moment of contemplation. But soon he simply put these questions behind him and focused on studying the system in front of him. System function synchronization completed, main interface panel opened. After the crisp prompt sound, a property panel also appeared in front of Ran Yun. Host, Ran Yun Power, 9 Physical Constitution, 10, Agile, 7, Spirit, 12 Charm, 70.9, PS. Except for attractiveness, the average physical fitness of normal males ranges from 8 to 10. Skill talent, currently unavailable assignable attribute points, 0 is system main functions, open, the host survives in the apocalypse and earns 1 free attribute reward for every hour of survival. The host's immortality is permanent. During the process of survival, if the host meets specific triggering conditions, it can also receive corresponding attribute point rewards. System storage space, open, in the initial stage, 10 cubic meters of storage space will be opened, and in the future, upgrades and expansions can be carried out based on mutated energy. Workshop, based on the material level collected by the host and the blueprint concept in the host's thinking, any corresponding items and props can be manufactured, modified, and strengthened. The current mutation energy is insufficient, and the workshop function cannot be activated temporarily. Looking at a series of data on the system panel, Ran Yun's expression began to gradually become excited. In the post-apocalyptic environment, you can earn 1 free attribute reward for every 1 hour of survival, and 24 hours a day is equivalent to 24 attribute points. And during the survival process, if specific triggering conditions are met, other attribute point rewards can also be obtained. Does this mean that the longer one lives in the post-apocalyptic environment, the stronger they will become? There is also that, system storage space, although it is currently only 10 cubic meters, it is also a solid space capacity. You should know that in the past life, there were very few people with spatial abilities, even if they looked at the entire blue star. Not to mention the storage space of this system, it can also be upgraded and expanded with the help of mutated energy. As for the final workshop, it can be considered an extremely important ability in the apocalypse. Weapons, armor, potions, food, water sources, and even some weapons and props that can only exist in imagination. As long as one has enough materials and can come up with a corresponding blueprint, the workshop can manufacture any item they need. He is confident in carrying a universal processing factory on his own. Similar to such a trinity system, it can really be called a little cow riding on a rocket, powerful with lightning. However, just as Ran Yun was overjoyed by the system he had just acquired. Ding dong. Ding dong. Ding dong. Su Jianning's phone suddenly started ringing non-stop. As soon as Ran Yun picked up his phone, it turned out to be a person with the nickname Kong Mang Bei Knows Enough, who sent a series of short messages to Su Jianning. Hi, little darling. I have already arrived at the store and have prepared a set of very sexy black silk lingerie for you. Now we are waiting for you to study the various postures of Kun/bad smile/bad smile/. Looking back on the scene before when you were on the phone with Ran Yun and being ravaged by me, that feeling was really great. How about we play like that again tonight? This can be considered as giving Ran Yun a sense of participation. Haha. One piece of information after another is full of vulgar and obscene language, which is not pleasing to the eye. This inevitably made Ran Yun's gaze, which had just diminished a bit of killing intent, suddenly become even stronger. At this moment, he can almost be certain that the guy across from him is undoubtedly Zhao Tai. Zhao Tai, you probably don't know. Su Jianing has already been killed by me, right? I didn't want to touch you so soon, but since you sincerely want to die, I don't mind sending you on the road tonight. A cold smile curved around the corner of her mouth, and Ran Yun quickly outlined a bold plan in her mind after responding to a few messages in the tone of Su Jianing and stabilizing Zhao Tai. According to Ran Yun's memory, Zhao Tai was a wealthy second-generation and also a military fan. In order to satisfy his interests and hobbies, his family even gave him money to open a military goods store. Ran Yun remembers clearly that Zhao Tai's store has a collection of powerful cutting tools that have been sharpened. Even due to his family background, he seems to have hidden a gun in his hand. With the blessing of these weapons, Zhao Tai quickly became an evolutionist after the Great Cataclysm struck. Even luckier, 2 blocks away from Zhao Tai's military goods store, there is a sizable warehouse supermarket that provides him with various resources beyond weapons. With these resources in his hands, Zhao Tai successfully gathered a group of followers in the early stages of the disaster and survived the initial zombie disaster. After later merging with his father Zhao Rongbiao, he integrated the power of the Zhao family and dominated the entire Jingzhou, seizing many survival resources through life-grabbing and plundering, becoming the first group of people to enter the maze tower. Nowadays, Ran Yun's idea is very simple. Since Zhao Tai took everything from him before his rebirth, when he returned from his rebirth, he must take everything back from his hands. Whether it's dignity or resources, or the women that Zhao Tai once possessed, Ran Yun Tong wants them all. 10 minutes later, Ran Yun, who had changed into clean clothes, walked out of the entrance of the unit building as if nothing had happened. Xiaoran, why are you still out now? I just saw it, isn't your girlfriend here? Hey, don't mention it. Isn't it awkward to have Luosifen? I have to buy it for her. This woman was really spoiled by me before. Along the way, Ran Yun greeted his neighbors with a smile on his face, warmly. The calm and harmless appearance of humans and animals, no one could have imagined that Ran Yun gang had just killed someone. Under the dim yellow sky, the remaining sun is like blood. The demonic red light invaded the entire earth from the sky. The crowds gathered on the street looked up at the sky, gazing at this strange scene. Although many people suspect that this celestial phenomenon may be a sign of some kind of disaster. However, experts quickly debunked the rumor and explained that it was just a once-in-a-century astronomical wonder. The general public should not worry too much about it, just enjoy it with peace of mind. Little did they know that soon they would be completely reduced to terrifying and bloodthirsty alien zombies due to their curiosity. Ran Yun was carrying a backpack and weaving through the dense crowd. Even though the footsteps of the apocalypse are getting closer and closer, he no longer cares to remind others. In fact, even if Ran Yun issued a warning, no one could believe it. Even in the end, he is likely to be forcibly charged with spreading rumors, causing trouble and disrupting people's minds. The experience of Dr. Li a few years ago is the best proof of this. Chapter 3. Ran Yun's Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 19:55 in the evening. Ran Yun arrived by car outside the military goods store operated by Zhao Tai. In just 5 minutes, the Great Cataclysm will officially arrive. But at this moment, Ran Yun's mood was not at all panicked, but rather a faint excitement filled with anticipation. Even he couldn't believe that he could really have this opportunity to personally kill Zhao Tai. Stabilized for a moment, my slightly restless mood. Ran Yun took out the black raincoat he carried with him from the trunk of the electric donkey. In his past life, in order to meet Su Jianing's material needs as much as possible, Ran Yun would work tirelessly to deliver 2 hours of express delivery after work every day. And this raincoat is exactly what he used to guard against rainy days when delivering takeout. Nowadays, seeing things and thinking of people, the only one who accompanied him all the way to the end was this raincoat. However, it is precisely this raincoat that will become the top priority of Ran Yun's next plan. Quickly putting his raincoat over his body, Ran Yun carried his backpack and arrived at the entrance of the military goods store. Looking up, the military goods store is still brightly lit at this moment. Through the window, you can see a group of people sitting together drinking beer, boasting and joking, but only Zhao Tai's figure is not seen among them. However, according to the message Zhao Tai sent to Su Jianing, he should be at this military product store now. After carefully observing the surrounding situation and confirming that there are no other potential threats, Ran Yun grabbed a cement brick from the roadside and smashed it directly into the huge French window of the military store. Bang! Clattering in the air. In an instant, the glass shards shattered all over the ground. The huge commotion immediately alarmed a group of people in the store. Sleeping slot. Who dares to smash Tai Ji's ordering store? Zhao Tai's group of younger brothers ran out cheerfully, carrying wine bottles. Seeing Ran Yun at the door, they immediately surrounded him. Who the hell are you? You're bored with life, right? How dare you come here and cause trouble? A group of people tilted their necks and glared, pointing beer bottles at Ran Yun, posing as if they were going to fight. This scene also attracted the attention of many passers-by. Even though he was deeply besieged, Ran Yun remained calm and even shouted directly at the military store, "Zhao Tai, get out and see me immediately." A roar carries endless killing intent. Ran Yun drew an iron kitchen knife from behind, covered in blood and with a cut, standing under the scattered red light. The terrifying aura experienced in the apocalypse erupted without reservation at this moment. In an instant, Zhao Tai's group of younger brothers were so scared that no one dared to step forward easily. Bullying honest people may be fearless. It's not uncommon to encounter someone like Ran Yun who really intends to work hard, but these people are also starting to hesitate. Who did this? Soon. Upon hearing the commotion outside, Zhao Tai ran down the stairs leading to the second floor with his pants in hand. Seeing the window of my store smashed, I naturally became furious. But when Zhao Tai ran out of the military goods store and looked up to see Ran Yun surrounded, his expression was stunned. Ran Yun. How could you be here? Why am I here? Shouldn't you be very clear about it? Ran Yun sneered, with a growing murderous intent in his eyes. You made an appointment with that slut Su Jianing to have a rendezvous here tonight. Do you think I don't know? Zhao Tai raised his eyebrows lightly, and after a moment of shock, he nodded decisively. Okay. It seems that the relationship between me and Jianing was still discovered by your kid. Since that's the case, then I have nothing to hide. With a haughty expression on his face, Zhao Tai sneered and said, that's right. Su Jianing has really gotten along with me now. You may not know that the goddess you hold in your hands and pamper in your heart all day is obedient to me like a dog. I can play as I please. If you don't believe me, you can call her over and ask her carefully. Is that what's going on? Zhao Taiyue became more and more proud, and in the end, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. And with Zhao Tai's smile, the group of young men around him naturally emitted a burst of mocking laughter. The naked humiliation lay before her, but Ran Yun's face appeared devoid of joy and sorrow. Looking at Zhao Tai with a disdainful expression in front of him, he calmly opened the zipper of his backpack. I have already brought Su Jianing. If you want to ask, you can ask yourself. As soon as the words fell, Ran Yun threw his backpack over. With a bang. At the moment the handbag landed, Su Jianing's bloody head fell out of it and rolled down to Zhao Tai's feet. When Zhao Tai lowered his head and saw Su Jianing's restless eyes staring straight at him. Ah! Unprepared, Zhao Tai suddenly felt as if he had been struck by a thunderbolt, causing his entire body to stand on end. At the same time, looking at the little brothers around Zhao Tai, they were all frightened and took several steps back. Just now, their arrogant faces were covered, leaving only a pale complexion. No one of them expected that Ran Yun would come here with a human head and cause trouble for them. But Zhao Tai and his team wouldn't have thought that this was just the first step of Ran Yun's plan. Just when a group of people led by Zhao Tai were frightened and lost in their wits. Ding! It has been detected that the mutated energy is rapidly accumulating, and the countdown to the end of the day is set to 10, 9, 8, 7. The sound of system prompts echoed in Ran Yun's ear. Without hesitation, he turned around and got into the bottom of a large truck on the roadside, then curled up his whole body inside the spacious black raincoat. Staring at Ran Yun's sudden move, Zhao Tai and others looked bewildered. But they haven't figured it out yet. What's going on? Shwa! The demonic red light suddenly occupied the entire sky. The people on the street all looked up at the sky, gazing at this sudden and spectacular scene. That scene was like a sky shattering, shedding endless blood. A terrifying energy storm poured down from the top of the sky, sweeping across the entire city. Ah! In the moment shrouded in a bloody halo, Zhao Tai and others felt as if they were being poured with boiling hot water on their bodies. One by one, they screamed and fell to the ground, starting to have violent convulsions. At the same time, every person on the street who was illuminated by the blood halo now collapsed to the ground in pain. Ran Yun, who had been hiding under the car early, was wrapped in a black raincoat and did not let any blood halo shine on him. The consequence of being illuminated by this blood-colored halo is that within a maximum of 5 minutes, under the influence of that eerie energy, it will mutate into a ferocious and bloodthirsty alien zombie. And this process of mutation will also go through excruciating torment, with no way to alleviate it at all. And this is also the best way for Ran Yun to deal with Zhao Tai and his group of younger brothers. Chapter 4. The Beginning of Mutation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The blood halo lasted for dozens of seconds and finally dissipated temporarily. The entire street echoed with screams of pain from people. Ran Yun quickly crawled out from the bottom of the truck, ignoring Zhao Tai lying on the ground rolling, and rushed straight into the military goods store in front of him. Anyway, Zhao Tai has already been illuminated by a blood halo, and it's only a matter of time before he transforms into a zombie. The most important thing now is to obtain the weapons that one urgently needs. Otherwise, relying solely on a chipped kitchen knife will not be able to cope with the next situation. Ding! Detected that the end of the world has officially arrived, the system has officially started running, rewarding the host with 5 free attribute points. Please pay attention to check. The crisp system prompt echoed in Ran Yun's ear. Faced with the sudden arrival of the 5 free attribute points, Ran Yun immediately assigned them as his eyes lit up. 3 points increase strength, 2 points increase agility. After adding the corresponding attribute points, Ran Yun immediately felt that his overall strength and speed had been significantly improved. In the early post-apocalyptic period, apart from the factor of psychological quality, strength and speed can almost determine a person's life and death, so Ran Yun naturally had to start strengthening from these 2 attributes. While completing the attribute bonus, Ran Yun also rushed into the military products store. Coincidentally, a girl also panicked and ran down the stairs from the 2nd floor. The two met head-on, and Ran Yun frowned and quickly recognized them. This beautiful girl is actually Su Jianing's best friend Huang Yu. At this moment, Huang Yu's clothes still looked a bit messy, wrapped in a pair of black silk with long legs, and there were even traces of being torn. Just relying on this dignified appearance is enough to imagine what she and Zhao Tai were doing hiding on the second floor just now. Such a scene also made Ran Yun sigh. Wealthy people really know how to play. Zhao Tai not only invited Su Jianing tonight, but also called Huang Yu, which is clearly going to be a passionate three-player game. Ran Yun, how could you be here? Huang Yu recognized Ran Yun with a somewhat flustered expression. After all, Su Jianing's ability to hook up with Zhao Tai all relied on her matchmaking and bridging. However, the situation is urgent now, and Ran Yunzhen could not have bothered to talk to Huang Yu. Get lost. After pushing Huang Yu away, Ran Yun looked around. The dazzling array of goods in the military goods store immediately caught his eye. Camouflage combat uniforms, tactical vests, tactical stab guards, tactical gloves, replica helmets, high-quality combat boots, even explosion-proof shields, boxes of military compressed biscuits, and a variety of outdoor combat supplies are all in one place. Looking at these things, Ran Yun finally understood why Zhao Tai could become a small hegemon in the previous life. These things are simply prepared specifically for the survival of the apocalypse. But what Ran Yun wants most now is still the powerful knives collected by Zhao Tai. However, things like these regulated items, Zhao Tai should not be placed too prominently outside. Immediately, Ran Yun turned around and headed straight to Zhao Tai's office on the second floor. Bang! Kicking open the door of Zhao Tai's office, Ran Yun's gaze swept over and immediately locked onto the cabinets. As he quickly stepped forward and lifted his hand to open the cabinet door, a series of silver shining and air-conditioned knives finally appeared in front of Ran Yun. The mountain knife, military dagger, 45 centimeters extended Nepalese curved knife, claw knife, engineering shovel. A variety of close combat weapons can be described as dazzling, and the vast majority of weapons are also sharpened. Besides these knives, Ran Yun even saw composite bows and crossbows. And these things were also the apocalyptic weapons that Ran Yun had long dreamed of. But just as Ran Yun found the weapon. Ah! Help! No, don't come over. Huang Yu's exclamation of surprise suddenly came from downstairs. There was also a low roar mixed in, like the roar of a wild beast. The mutation has begun. Ran Yun's eyes lit up, he lifted his hand and took off a Nepalese machete, then turned around and ran out of the office. And just as Ran Yun had come downstairs, Huang Yu also ran back from outside in panic. Ran Yun, help me. Seeing Ran Yun, Huang Yu hugged his arm and her delicate pretty face was filled with fear, making people couldn't help but want to pity her. But the next moment, get lost. Ran Yun shook off Huang Yu and immediately looked out on the street with a vigilant gaze. Outside the military goods store, people who had begun to undergo a transformation wobbled up from the ground. The purple-black blood streaks, visible to the naked eye, covered their cheeks, and their previously normal eyes transformed into a strange color, like a fish belly white. They opened their mouths wide and let out low growls in their throats that resembled wild beasts. When these mutated humans saw a normal person hiding in a corner, they rushed forward as if they had seen delicious prey. Ah! Don't come over. Relax, you immediately relax. Ah! Help me. The mournful screams echoed one after another, and the entire street began to fall into chaos. Some people would have continued to hide at home without suffering any harm. But due to curiosity about the strange situation outside, many people came out to watch the excitement, which directly made them the food for the first wave of mutants. As the riot continued to escalate, vehicles on the road began to collide one after another. Some cars broke street light poles and rushed into shops on the street, causing a burst of fire and explosion. In just a few minutes, a city that had just been bustling was like being suddenly thrown into a hell. Roar. Bloodthirsty and deep growls, spitting out a nauseating stench. Zhao Tai, who had completed the mutation, and his 4 younger brothers behind him rushed towards Ran Yun with open teeth and claws. Seeing this scene, Ran Yun quickly raised his hand and pressed the switch of the electronic shutter. The rolling shutter slowly fell, but before it could reach halfway, Zhao Tai, who had turned into a zombie, had already rushed into the store. Fortunately, 3 years of experience dealing with zombies made Ran Yun appear calm and composed. Quickly dodged Zhao Tai's sharp claws, Ran Yun lowered her body and took a step forward, vigorously wielding the Nepalese curved sword in her hand. Shwa! A cold light flashed, and the sharp blade penetrated deep into Zhao Tai's left knee. With a thud, Zhao Tai fell on the spot. After knocking down Zhao Tai with a single blow, Ran Yun immediately grabbed a nearby explosion-proof shield and fiercely collided with the zombies following behind. Due to these zombies just starting to mutate, their strength is not too strong yet. After a loud bang, these zombies were knocked over by Ran Yun. However, without waiting for Ran Yun, he breathed a sigh of relief. Roar! A frantic low growl came from Zhao Tai, who was lying on the ground, and he quickly climbed to Ran Yun's feet, opening his bloody mouth and about to bite. Fortunately, Ran Yun was already on guard. After dodging Zhao Tai's attack, Ran Yun pulled down a nearby cabinet and pressed it against Zhao Tai, temporarily limiting his movement. If Ran Yun takes advantage of the situation and cuts off Zhao Tai's head with a single blow, the latter will immediately be reimbursed on the spot. However, Ran Yun planned to keep Zhao Tai as the source of his first mutated energy. Ah! They're coming in. At this moment, Huang Yu's sharp exclamation came. In the blink of an eye, Ran Yun immediately saw that just as the rolling shutter was about to fall completely, a zombie crawled in through a gap below. The shutter was pressed against the zombie, making it impossible to fully close. Upon seeing this, Ran Yun rushed forward with one swift step, and his Nepalese curved sword suddenly struck down. Puff! Purple-black blood splattered all over the ground in an instant. The power of 12 o'clock, combined with the sharp enough blade of the Nepalese machete, caused the zombie lying on the ground to split into 2 parts on the spot. Without the obstruction of zombies, the electronic shutter finally landed smoothly. And soon, the system's prompt sound also arrived as promised. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the first kill in the apocalypse. If the triggering conditions are met, reward 1 free attribute point. Chapter 5. Speak immediately or die immediately. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Continue to increase your strength. Ran Yun quickly made an allocation for the attribute points received. At the same time, Huang Yu on the side was almost terrified by the bloody scene before her. Kill! Kill! Huang Yu screamed in shock with her mouth wide open, and her face turned extremely pale. As a woman born in a peaceful era, how could she have witnessed such a bloody scene? But soon, her screams also aroused strong resentment from Ran Yun. Shut up! From now on, no sound is allowed, otherwise I will kill you immediately. The tip of the Nepalese machete pointed straight at Huang Yu's throat, and Ran Yun's indifferent gaze was filled with an undisguised killing intent. After all, a loud scream will only attract more zombies. Huang Yu was startled and quickly covered her mouth. She hurriedly retreated to a corner, tears streaming down her eyes. Staring at the man who seemed to be possessed by a killing god at this moment, Huang Yu found it difficult to connect him with the usual submissive Ran Yun. The feeling of Ran Yun in front of her was completely like a different person. After Huang Yu stopped screaming, the zombies outside the military product store that kept hitting the rolling shutter also gradually quieted down. Standing behind the rolling shutter, carefully listening to the zombies outside, gradually calmed down. While letting out a sigh of relief, Ran Yun immediately took a roll of umbrella rope and tied up Zhao Tai, who had turned into a zombie. Looking at Ran Yun, this series of orderly actions. After hesitating for a moment, Huang Yu trembled and asked, what exactly happened outside? Tai Gu and his team, why did they become like this? The end of the world. With a cold response from Huang Yu, Ran Yun dragged Zhao Tai, who was tied tightly, all the way to the second floor. After the first spiritual aura halo, there will be a second wave of spiritual aura coming again after an interval of about 10 minutes. And for zombies like Zhao Tai, the first time they are irradiated with spiritual aura, after the second irradiation of spiritual aura, a special mutated crystal nucleus will be nurtured in their bodies. This type of mutated crystal nucleus is also the key to obtaining mutated energy. The reason why Ran Yun intended to keep Zhao Tai was to use him to obtain the crucial mutated crystal nucleus. In his past life, Zhao Tai spared no effort in draining Ran Yun's blood in order to gain the power of the divine source core. After being reborn and returning, Ran Yun naturally wanted to drain Zhao Tai and all his utilization value. However, because all the turnstiles have already fallen on the first floor, if Zhao Tai wants to shine a second spiritual aura, he can only go up to the second floor. After putting in a lot of effort, Zhao Tai was dragged up to the second floor and thrown behind the window near the terrace. Ran Yun, for the sake of safety, tied him several ropes again. Because after the second spiritual halo irradiation, the zombie's body not only gives birth to crystal nuclei, but its own strength will also increase in a straight line. If you are not fully prepared, there may be an accident. After making sure to tie Zhao Tai tightly, Ran Yun quickly went downstairs and ran into Zhao Tai's office, starting to search around. Although he had obtained the knives collected by Zhao Tai, what Ran Yun most wanted was still Zhao Tai's gun. In the early stages of the cataclysm, having a hot weapon in hand can definitely be considered a great weapon, and can also help oneself become stronger as soon as possible. The most important thing is that the workshop function in one's own system can also be used to modify and enhance weapons. If you have enough materials, perhaps you can still transform this gun into a more powerful super weapon. After searching for it, Ran Yun finally found a safe in a cabinet. But the fingerprint password lock on the safe stumped Ran Yun. This fingerprint password lock only captures one fingerprint of Zhao Tai, and there are only 3 chances to verify it. But Zhao Tai has 1 hand and 1 foot, a total of 20 different fingerprints. Who knows which fingerprint this kid used for the password? However, just as Ran Yun was facing difficulties, staring at the fingerprint lock on the safe, Huang Yu approached the office door and cautiously asked, Do you want to get what's inside the safe? What? Do you know which fingerprint Zhao Tai used? Glancing back at Huang Yu, Ran Yun casually asked without much expectation in her heart. However, at the next moment, Huang Yu nodded and said, I know. I once peeked at Zhao Tai opening a safe, so naturally I knew which fingerprint Zhao Tai used. Shua. As Huang Yu's words fell, Ran Yun's eyes lit up instantly. Facing the safe in front of him, he almost gave up. Unexpectedly, Huang Yu would know the fingerprint password of this safe. Quick! Tell me immediately, which fingerprint did Zhao Tai use as the password? Ran Yun eagerly approached Huang Yu and grabbed her shoulder, asking. Looking at Ran Yun, his face was full of eagerness. After hesitating for a moment, Huang Yu trembled and asked, If I tell you, can you protect me? Just now, through the window on the second floor, Huang Yu had already seen a miserable scene on the street outside. The streets are filled with mutated zombies, constantly chasing and biting at those normal people. Roars, screams, screams, and all kinds of sounds echoed through the entire street and even the entire city. Huang Yu was completely stunned and had no idea what was going on. But gradually she realized that perhaps everything was really like what Ran Yun had said, and the end had really come. And in this situation, where should a weak woman go? After trying her best to calm down, Huang Yu began to realize clearly that if she wanted to live as much as possible in this post-apocalyptic hell, the only person she could rely on at the moment was Ran Yun. Now Ran Yun urgently wants to open Zhao Tai's safe. So the password for the safe has become her most advantageous bargaining chip now. Do you want me to protect you? Looking at the longing in Huang Yu's eyes, Ran Yun's mouth curved with a playful curve. He didn't expect that in such a situation, Huang Yu could calmly propose an exchange condition to himself. It can be seen from this that this woman's mind is still far superior to that of ordinary people. That's right. As long as you're willing to protect me, I'll tell you which fingerprint Zhao Tai used, and from now on, I'll be your woman. If you want, I can give it to you now. As she spoke, Huang Yu pulled down her collar, showcasing her proud capital. At the same time, her entire delicate body eagerly pressed against Ran Yun's body. In Huang Yu's view, the only capital she can now utilize, besides the password of the safe, is her beauty that can captivate many men. Huang Yu firmly believed that as long as Ran Yun wanted her once. With her skilled skills and charming demeanor. Definitely able to make Ran Yun want to be immortal and die, unable to give up. As long as you can capture the man's heart, then her personal safety can be temporarily preserved. However, just as Huang Yu took it for granted that Ran Yun would be captivated by her beauty. It's already the end of the world, do you think I'll still have some thoughts to take a quick break with you, this slut? Ran Yun sneered and an apple in his hand was directly placed on Huang Yu's neck. The cold air enveloped and pressed tightly against her skin, instantly causing Huang Yu's whole body to tremble. She looked incredulously at Ran Yun in front of her, completely unaware that under her proactive temptation, Ran Yun would not only remain unmoved but also resort to violence. You should know that when it comes to physical beauty, I am still above Su Jianing. Ran Yun is just an ordinary loser. I used to invite Su Jianing out to play and noticed several times that Ran Yun was peeking at me. Is it impossible for Ran Yunzhen to refuse a beautiful woman like herself who is willing to voluntarily give herself to him? Are you completely indifferent to me? With inner unwillingness, Huang Yu still wanted to speak up. Before she could finish speaking, Ran Yun flipped his Nepalese hand back and forth. With just one brush, the sharp blade cut off a strand of her hair. Speak immediately, or die immediately, choose one yourself. The tone was as cold and harsh as frost, and Ran Yun's indifferent expression was like a ruthless butcher. With such a face, Huang Yu was immediately frightened and shivered all over, his hair standing on end. At this moment, she dared not doubt that if she dared to say even a few words, Ran Yun would really dare to kill her with one blow. Chapter 6. Self-Defense Weapon, S.211 Super Compact Shotgun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In fact, from the moment Huang Yu revealed that she knew the password fingerprint, Ran Yun had already had a murderous heart towards her. 3 years of post-apocalyptic survival, with tragic betrayal before death. Ran Yun's thinking has exceeded that of normal people by too much. Assuming that the gun hidden by Zhao Tai is really inside the safe, and Huang Yu is the only fingerprint password insider, it means she has a chance to obtain this gun. If Huang Yu obtains this gun, it will undoubtedly become the biggest threat to Ran Yun. Will Ran Yun sit idly by and watch such a threat emerge after finally being reborn and returning? The answer is, absolutely impossible. If Huang Yu didn't say the password, then Ran Yun's first choice would be to block her throat with a knife and never suffer from it again. You. Don't kill me. I say it. I say everything. The password for the safe is Zhao Tai's left middle finger fingerprint. Huang Yu was frightened by Ran Yun's cold and ruthless blood, and hurriedly explained everything. Squinting his eyes and staring at Huang Yu for a moment, after confirming that she should not have deceived him, Ran Yun finally withdrew the Nepalese curved sword. The cold blade finally left her neck, and Huang Yu again wanted to breathe a sigh of relief. Ran Yun casually found a rope and tied Huang Yu up in her struggle. What are you? What are you doing? I've already told you, why do you still want to tie me up? Huang Yu furrowed her eyebrows, her eyes filled with fear and resentment. At the next moment, Ran Yun directly pinched her fair chin and sneered, saying, "Free to teach you a primary rule for survival in the apocalypse. In more complex situations, don't believe anyone except yourself. Stay honest, maybe I can save your life, but if you dare to play with me, I'll throw you out and feed the zombies. Looking at the evil and cold-blooded expression on Ran Yun's face, Huang Yu was frightened and trembled all over. I dare not say any more words besides nodding my head. It's hard for her to imagine what Ran Yun went through to make him the way he is now. Is everything really like what is said online? When honest people are driven to a dead end, they will directly transform into demons. Lazy to pay attention to what Huang Yu was thinking, Ran Yun immediately went outside and obtained Zhao Tai's left middle finger in the fastest physical way possible. Drip. The crisp prompt sound started, the fingerprint verification was correct, and the safe was successfully opened. The first thing that catches the eye is stacks of brand new banknotes, totaling over 300,000 yuan. Beside the banknotes, there are also some valuable items such as watches and jewelry. But for these, Ran Yun didn't even look at them and just threw them aside like throwing away scrap. In this post-apocalyptic world, money is no different from garbage, and its value is not even as valuable as a roll of toilet paper, making it more effective. In critical situations, toilet paper with better water absorption can replace gauze to press wounds and wipe the body. Even in situations of food shortage, it can be used as temporary emergency food. In terms of these functions, they are definitely more valuable than money. After throwing a pile of useless things aside, Ran Yun finally found a delicate weapon box at the bottom of the safe. When he opened the box and saw the firearm that had been disassembled and placed inside, Ran Yun's expression immediately became incredibly exciting. Originally, Ran Yun thought that Zhao Tai might only have a handgun in his collection, but now when he looks at this guy's collection, it turns out to be a Sulu Arms SS.211 super compact shotgun. You should know that in the early post-apocalyptic period, having an ordinary pistol was already a very valuable life-saving weapon. Nowadays, the emergence of the Sulu Arms SS.211 even gave Ran Yun a feeling of playing Scratch and winning the first prize directly. You should know that this is a shotgun, whether in the apocalypse or in a stable society, it is enough to be called a divine weapon of equality for all beings. Within a distance of 30 meters, there is almost no need to deliberately aim. With one shot, whether you are a zombie or a strong man, you can be thrown to the ground on the spot. A former leader of the Sakura Kingdom has a deep understanding of this point. Although this Sulu Arms SS.211 can only load 2 rounds of ammunition at a time, it cannot withstand its immense power. Moreover, this gun has a total length of only 580 mm and weighs 2,000 grams. Its operation is light and flexible, and it can be easily disassembled and stored without the need for special tools. It uses 12 caliber shotguns, which are no less powerful than traditional shotguns. The 2 barrels are arranged vertically, with a clear and crisp trigger and a double-layer thick rubber shoulder pad, which can reduce the strong recoil generated by the number 12 shotgun and provide a comfortable shooting experience for the shooter. A compact shotgun like this can be considered a masterpiece of killing, arson, and self-defense in the apocalypse. Zhao Tai, this is the first time I've felt it. It seems like you're not that annoying anymore, kid. With a brilliant smile on his face, Ran Yun took out the gun components and quickly assembled them according to the instructions. He couldn't help but kiss the brand new body of the Sulu Arms SS.211 gun. Baby, you will be mine from now on. With both hands carefully rubbing against each inch of the gun body texture, Ran Yunjin can be said to be unable to put it down. It is not an exaggeration to say that even with a stunning beauty standing candidly in front of Ran Yun and posing in a "come and play with me" posture, it is definitely not more attractive than this gun. Afterwards, Ran Yun found 30 rounds of 12 caliber shotguns in the nearby box. Staring at these, Ran Yun couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth and say, with this weapon, on this journey to the end of the world, I will definitely become a member standing at the pinnacle. Just as Ran Yun pushed the 2 bullets into the magazine, the second aura of spiritual energy also began to descend as scheduled. The crimson color enveloped the entire city, as if it had transformed into the legendary blood pool hell. A more restless roar, as well as a piercing scream, echoed on the street outside. making one feel a tingling scalp. Absorbed the spiritual aura and halo energy of the second descent, the previously mutated zombies began to undergo evolutionary enhancement. And those normal humans who were irradiated also began to experience alienation. Huang Yu, whose body was bound, curled up in the corner and kept sobbing. Listen to the increasingly terrifying sound outside. She couldn't help but say to Ran Yun, "Hurry up and report to the police. Even if you get Zhao Tai's gun, you can't be a match for the group of monsters outside. Now we can only seek help from the police and army to save us." Looking back at Huang Yu, Ran Yun couldn't help but sneer, "Put away your true thoughts that day. The police and soldiers in this city are now in dire straits, how could they come to rescue us?" The sound was filled with a heavy smell, and Ran Yun knew better than anyone that from the second spiritual halo, the complete arrival of the great cataclysm would immediately drag the entire city, the entire summer, and even the entire blue star into that bottomless purgatory. According to the memories of Ran Yun's past life, the number of zombies generated during the first spiritual aura irradiation was not too large. The reason for the actual large number of zombies was all due to the second spiritual aura irradiation. After the first spiritual halo, a zombie was born. Many people were attracted by the noise outside and ran out to observe the situation. Even if you don't leave home, you will definitely lie at the window holding your phone and shoot exciting scenes on the streets outside. After all, in this era where traffic is king, everyone is thinking that with an explosive video, they can make a huge fortune overnight. As a result, when the second spiritual aura halo descended, more people were illuminated, leading to further population changes. But the most terrifying thing about it is that after the first spiritual halo irradiation, the people on the street will cause chaos due to alienation, and emergency rescue forces from various aspects such as military, police, and firefighting in the city will definitely take the lead in responding. When these urban rescue forces quickly deploy to deal with the situation, they naturally become the main targets of the second spiritual halo of infection. In such a situation, the city's frontline defense system almost collapsed in an instant, and human order was almost non-existent. In the apocalypse of his past life, Ran Yun was busy running for his life everywhere and did not carefully consider this. But now, upon careful consideration, the timing of these two spiritual aura shining on the checkpoint is like some kind of deliberate attack. In the situation where the city's defense forces are almost completely paralyzed, the surviving people can only rely on themselves to survive. Chapter 7, Workshop Opening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Father and mother get married, let's take care of ourselves. Listening to the increasingly chaotic sounds outside, Ran Yun sighed helplessly and walked out of the office with a Nepalese machete in hand. After more than 10 minutes, the second wave of spiritual aura halo arrived as scheduled. Roar! Roar! Near the window of the terrace, Zhao Tai, who had gradually undergone a second transformation, looked at Ran Yun standing in the corner and let out a series of terrifying roars in his mouth. With every roar, his mouth full of yellow teeth would splash out a disgusting stream of mucus. The previously handsome facial features have been severely twisted and deformed, and their ferocious appearance really resembles a demon that has just crawled out of hell. Due to the increase in strength, under Zhao Tai's intense struggle, the rope that bound him had already been broken open several times. Seeing that the time was ripe, Ran Yun put down the blinds and curtains on the window, isolated the spiritual halo that shone in, and then walked out of the dark corner. Under the influence of mutated energy, Zhao Tai now has an almost insane thirst for flesh and blood. Gray-white eyes stared fixedly at Ran Yun as he approached closer and closer. He struggled with all his might, as if he wished he were about to tear Ran Yun into pieces and feast on her. Little did they know his strength, and soon he was going to make a wedding dress for Ran Yun too. However, under the gaze of Zhao Tai's bloodthirsty eyes, Ran Yun did not rush to take immediate action to kill him. Instead, he first covered Zhao Tai's gray eyes with a cloth and his mouth, which was constantly spitting out mucus. Then he took out Zhao Tai's phone and captured his constantly struggling appearance. Be a good son and say hello to Dad. With a playful smile on her face, Ran Yun kept moving the camera of her phone, striving to capture Zhao Tai's struggles and resistance clearly. After all, this video will also directly affect whether Ran Yun's next extortion plan will be successful. Zhao Tai, thank you very much for being the source of my strength. Your life, I have taken it today. After obtaining the video she wanted, Ran Yun no longer had a moment of delay. With a sneer, the Nepalese machete suddenly swung out of his hand. Puff. The head flew down, and in an instant, thick black blood scattered all over the ground. Looking at the headless corpse in front of him, Ran Yun stood still, even feeling a bit incredulous. He had avenged himself in his past life. Ha ha ha. After a moment of silence, Ran Yun couldn't help but burst out laughing. The laughter was hoarse and cheerful, filled with a sense of relief that revenge was to be sought, causing Ran Yun's body to tremble uncontrollably. I don't know why Ran Yun was smiling, but there was a hint of indescribable desolation in his tone. At this moment, Ran Yun suddenly felt that his mentality seemed very strange. Perhaps the self who deserves revenge should feel happy. But as he looked out the window at the still approaching apocalypse, listening to the heart-wrenching screams and low growls on the street, Ran Yun's eyes became confused instead. For a moment, he even felt that if he had died like before, it would have been the best outcome. At least for now, the so-called rebirth is nothing more than throwing him back into that terrible hell. Just like before the end of the world, many ordinary people faced increasingly severe survival pressure and once said, although the world is good, the next life will never come again. Inexplicable thoughts are constantly spreading in my heart. The bloody smell penetrated into the nose unreasonably. In that complex and indescribable emotion, Ran Yun seemed to be dragged into a suffocating deep sea. Perhaps it's a minute, maybe it's an hour, or maybe it's a fleeting moment in the sea that has compressed a lifetime. After struggling for an unknown amount of time, the corners of Ran Yun's mouth gradually curled up with a self-deprecating sneer. To survive in a world of cannibalism, one must either eat or be eaten. Ran Yun, since you have been reborn, why bother to daydream here? The apocalypse may just be a game of gods, using the posture of punishment to make judgments on humanity. But I won't become the criminal who is willing to be tried. I won't let them one day hold on to my dead head and preach to the whole world that this human being is vulnerable to a single blow. After murmuring to himself for a while, Ran Yun's eyes were full of confusion, and he once again regained his clarity. Ding! Detected a change in the host's mentality, becoming more determined in one's own mind. If the triggering conditions are met, reward the spirit attribute with 2 points. Oh ho! I didn't expect that even after breaking free from the confused mental state, could I still add some extra points to myself. This is really profitable. The mood gradually became joyful, and Ran Yun held a knife in his hand, cutting Zhao Tai's head open in the middle like a watermelon. Then, from the pile of red and white sticky substances, he found a crystal nucleus the size of a nail cap. And this crystal nucleus is also the mutated energy crystal condensed from the blood-colored spiritual aura within the zombie's body. The mutated crystal nucleus contains extremely powerful energy, which can promote human evolution, make the body stronger, and even have a certain probability of obtaining certain talents or skills from it. Regarding this, in the past life of Ran Yun, people did not realize it until 3 days after the end of the world. Even later, it was discovered that this mutated crystal nucleus could not only be used to strengthen itself, but also to manufacture and strengthen weapons in hand. Based on the many clever uses of mutated crystal nuclei, it also became a hard currency that replaced the original currency in the later apocalypse. The mutated crystal nucleus that Ran Yun has obtained now undoubtedly leads almost everyone by 1 step. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the first F.level mutated crystal core. If the triggering conditions are met, reward 2 free attribute points. Once again, Ran Yundang received the system's reward, and even though he had 2 free attributes, he directly targeted his strength and agility. At the same time, the system also prompts again. Does the mutated crystal nucleus contain high-purity mutated energy, which can be used as a system energy reserve for absorption? Immediately absorb. Ran Yun agreed without hesitation. Command confirmation, start absorption. After the system's prompt sound, a burst of red light appeared in Ran Yun's palm, and then the mutated crystal nucleus the size of a nail cap began to melt into a transparent liquid, seeping into his body. Ding! The mutated crystal nucleus has been successfully absorbed and automatically generates 15 points of mutated energy. Please choose the direction of use for the host. The sound of the system fell, and the changed attribute panel also appeared in front of Ran Yun. Host, Ran Yun Power, 14 Physical Constitution, 10, Agile, 10, Spirit, 14 Charm, 70.9, Natural Skills, currently unavailable assignable attribute points, 0, number of available mutation energy points, 15 is system main functions, open. System storage space, open. Upgrading 1 cubic meter of space requires 100 points of mutation energy. Currently, the energy is insufficient and cannot be upgraded temporarily. Workshop, not enabled. Enable as needed, 10 points of mutation energy, start the workshop immediately. Ran Yun thought to herself. The system immediately responded. Command confirmation, deduct 10 points of mutated energy points, start workshop. Workshop successfully opened. The current workshop level is F level, and the maximum level of items that can be manufactured is FFF level. If the manufactured items exceed the level limit, the workshop upgrade must be completed first. An additional 1000 points of mutation energy are required before the next level of workshop upgrade. Chapter 8. Manufacturing Crossbows. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I didn't expect that the manufacturing ability of the workshop also has a level limit. Staring at the instructions on the system and raising an eyebrow, Ran Yun was able to accept it. After all, this thing is just like the manufacturing workshop of a factory. The more precise it is, the better the corresponding workshop equipment and technology will naturally be. However, since the workshop had already begun, Ran Yun naturally couldn't wait to create a more convenient weapon for himself. Although what he most wants now is to transform the newly obtained Sulu Arms SS.211, Ran Yun is also very clear in his heart that if he wants to transform this gun into the way he envisioned it, he will not mention whether the level of the workshop is sufficient, and he has nothing to do with the material alone. Turning around, he returned to Zhao Tai's office, staring at the pile of weapons in the metal cabinet, and after careful consideration, Ran Yun ultimately set his gaze on the crossbow. Lifting his hand from the tin cabinet, he took out Zhao Tai's collection of crossbows. After careful observation, Ran Yun quickly came up with a renovation plan in his mind. Simply put, he wanted to transform the single-shot crossbow in front of him into a continuous-shot crossbow without weakening its power. Compared to composite bows, crossbows have great advantages in terms of power and energy savings. For Ran Yun, who had already experienced the end of the world, he knew very well how important it was to have a powerful continuous firing weapon in the early stages of the end of the world. Although he has already obtained Zhao Tai's shotgun, with only 30 rounds of ammunition, it cannot withstand his consumption. And the materials needed to transform firearms and manufacture ammunition are not all that he can collect now. So, with this gun, he stayed behind more to prepare for unexpected situations. On the other hand, when it comes to crossbows, whether it's transforming the crossbow body or manufacturing crossbows, the required craftsmanship and materials are undoubtedly much simpler. As long as the other composite bow is removed and some components from the simulated gun collected by Zhao Tai are added, there is now a pile of ready-made materials available for Ran Yun to use. Before graduating from university, Ran Yun had conducted some research on crossbows and even replicated a Zhuge crossbow based on historical records. So he was naturally full of confidence in transforming the crossbow in front of him. After a brief conceptualization, Ran Yun mentally entered his blueprint into the workshop and quickly received a systematic response. Ding. Read the host's blueprint and create items for the current workshop. When starting manufacturing for the first time, you can enjoy a 10% discount on mutated energy. After the discount, this manufacturing only requires 5 points of mutated energy. Am I knocking? Is there such a good thing? Then quickly start manufacturing. Ran Yun's pleasantly surprised words fell, and a white light suddenly flashed in his hands. Immediately after, the crossbow in front of him, as well as the required materials and parts, were all sucked into the manufacturing space of the workshop. Ding! Manufacturing is starting, estimated to take 25 minutes. Please be patient and wait for the host. As the manufacturing process began, Ran Yun immediately saw through the system panel. The crossbow and many other parts began to be disassembled and assembled automatically in the workshop space. The unsuitable parts were reshaped by a magical force, gradually transforming them into what they needed to be. That delicate process is like a pair of skilled hands constantly breaking down, debugging, and assembling all the parts into shape. Such a scene, while pleasing Ran Yun's heart, was filled with an excited anticipation. However, it also happens at this moment. Roar! The zombies on the street suddenly let out a chilling roar. Ran Yun turned his eyes and looked out the window, even though he could feel it through the curtains. The blood halo scattered in the sky began to intensify. The crimson aura of spiritual aura is like petals drifting across the sky. On the balconies of many street-facing residents, they were affected by the excitement. Those who were illuminated by the second spiritual halo began to gradually transform into exotic zombies in the midst of mournful screams. On the streets of the city, a large number of mutated zombies gather together, bathed in the spiritual halo and worshipping the moon, greedily absorbing the mutated energy contained in the blood halo in such a way, only to evolve and develop their bodies towards a stronger direction. Looking around, a dense army of zombies almost filled the streets. The eerie and terrifying scene makes one feel a tingling scalp. After listening to the noise coming from the street outside, Ran Yun frowned and pondered for a moment. As if she had made up her mind, she came to the window near the terrace. After taking off his clothes, he pushed open the window and arrived at the terrace on the second floor, completely exposing himself to the halo of spiritual energy. The crimson eerie halo enveloped her whole body in an instant, and the scorching sensation immediately made Ran Yun feel as if she had been thrown into the blazing flames. As the aura of spiritual energy became increasingly intense, the burning on the skin even spread all the way to Ran Yun's body. Immediately, Ran Yun felt as if a scorching flame had ignited in her chest. The brute force rampaged through his body, causing his heart to beat violently and his blood to circulate rapidly. Her fair skin began to tear apart inch by inch under the savage ravages of that force. That kind of pain, it can be said that life is better than death. No matter how painful the pain was and how frustrating it was, Ran Yun still gritted his teeth and persevered. Because this is also a crucial step in making him stronger. At the same time, it was also a very adventurous attempt by Ran Yun. The eerie aura of spiritual energy will catalyze everything that possesses life into terrifying creatures. It will also make these mutants evolve into even more terrifying monsters. For those who have swallowed the mutated crystal nucleus and completed evolution, this spiritual aura will also transform into a source of power that can be absorbed. At the same time, after absorbing the mutated energy within the aura of spiritual energy, the human body will also develop resistance to the infection of zombie viruses, and even have a quenching effect. It was not until half a month later that people in their past lives discovered the mystery behind this. But at that time, the frequency of spiritual aura halos will also decrease. Until 36 days after the end of the world, the spiritual aura will never come again. Therefore, after evolution, if people want to continue to become stronger, they must constantly hunt down mutated organisms and use their mutated crystal nuclei to gain power. Either go to those mysterious forbidden areas that have been spawned by the mutated energy and seek opportunities. But either of these two methods is no different from dancing with the Grim Reaper. Nowadays, although Ran Yun has not swallowed the mutated crystal nucleus, he has become a conventional evolutionist. But with the system in place, he still wants to try and see if he can still absorb the given mutated energy. After all, how can one waste the opportunity to engage in prostitution in vain? The intense burning sensation filled every corner of the body, constantly stimulating Ran Yun's tense nerves. After bathing in the aura of spiritual energy and enduring more than 10 minutes of painful torment. Ding! The spiritual aura has been successfully absorbed and automatically converted into 5 points of mutated energy, trigger quenching effect achieved, host body damage begins to recover, and physical attributes increase by 1 point, the crisp system prompt echoed clearly in my ears. Immediately, a bright light appeared in Ran Yun's eyes. Chapter 9. Continuous Troubles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sure enough. Even with the awakening system, I can still absorb this mutated energy into my own body. A burst of surprise filled Ran Yun's heart, and she could clearly sense that her skin, torn apart by the mutated energy, began to heal at a visible speed to the naked eye. Although the physical attributes have only increased by 1 point, it still makes Ran Yun's already muscular body appear more robust. However, just as Ran Yun was pleasantly surprised by his attempt. Meow! A sharp and bloodthirsty cry suddenly reached his ears. Shwa! The sudden cry made Ran Yun's heart tighten. As he followed the sound for a moment, a completely alienated stray cat appeared on the branch of a large tree next to the floor. Due to the mutation, the stray cat's fur has extensively rotted and fallen off. But the pitch-black cat paws, on the contrary, were scattered with a sharp luster. The sticky blood covered its head, and in its mouth, it even held a human ear. After seeing the zombie cat, Ran Yun's expression immediately became tense. Because compared to the group of human zombies on the street, what Ran Yun least wants to encounter is the monster that comes from this animal mutation. In the early stages of human mutation, the body may become stiff and sluggish in action due to the inability to adapt to the infusion of mutation energy. Animals, due to their physical structure, would not experience this situation at all. Especially for animals like cats, their reaction speed is 2.4 times faster than that of humans. Nowadays, with the blessing of mutated energy, it will only become more terrifying and difficult to deal with. In the tense atmosphere of confrontation, Ran Yun's first reaction was naturally to quickly go and pick up the weapon placed aside. At this moment, the zombie cat on the tree also launched an attack. Her petite figure suddenly leaped, her sharp claws pouncing on Ran Yun's face, and her speed was as fast as lightning. Fortunately, the experience of the last 3 years allowed Ran Yun to maintain enough composure. At the moment when the zombie cat pounced on him, Ran Yun suddenly crouched down and picked up the Nepalese machete placed aside with his right hand. He quickly put on a defensive posture that wrapped his head and brain. Ding-ling! The pitch-black cat claws collided with the blade of the Nepalese machete, making a crisp sound. While successfully protecting his neck with a blade, Ran Yun swung his wrist and the blade slashed down, ready to launch a counterattack. As a result, the zombie cat arched its body and thrust its hind paws on Ran Yun's shoulder. Not only did its entire body quickly dodge Ran Yun's attack in a clever way, but its sharp hind paws even left several bloody paw marks on Ran Yun's shoulder. Hiss! The pain of tearing flesh and skin made Ran Yun couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. However, he didn't wait for a moment to catch his breath. Meow meow. The zombie cat made a sudden leap and once again rushed towards Ran Yun. However, at the same time, Ran Yun's left hand had also picked up the loaded Sulu Arms SS.211 on the ground. Faced with the zombie cat, a mutated monster known for its agility and sharpness, Ran Yun knew that with his current reaction speed alone, he could not be his opponent. So using firearms is currently his only option. The thumb quickly pushed away the safety, and the muzzle was aimed in the direction of the zombie cat's charge. Ran Yun suddenly pulled the trigger. Bang! At the moment when the gunfire exploded, dense bullets scattered like celestial maidens, spreading with the flames. The terrifying power immediately turned the zombie cat's body from the chest down into scattered pieces of meat. Damn it. This thing is really useful. Unable to help but let out a sigh, Ranyun shook his hand and neck, which were slightly painful from the recoil, and was about to walk over to search for the mutated crystal nucleus in the zombie cat's head. The sudden gunfire brought him new trouble in this bloody night. Roar. A hoarse roar suddenly came from above. Ranyun hurriedly raised his eyes. I saw two naked figures suddenly appearing on the 3-story balcony of the apartment building next to me. There are two figures, one male and one female. The woman is hunched over on the windowsill in front, while the man stands straight and tightly against the back. It seems that there is a mysterious exchange taking place in the face of this blood-colored halo that has descended from all over the sky. Although the two had already turned into bloodthirsty zombies after being bathed in spiritual aura halo, their communication process remained uninterrupted and even became more passionate and fanatical. I'll go, you two really know how to play. Ranyun roasted with a strange expression. He really wanted to take a picture of them with his mobile phone and send it to the audience in front of the screen. At this moment, the two zombies upstairs may have been angry. The recent killing of the zombie cat by Ranyun disturbed their intimate interaction. After a bloodthirsty roar towards Ranyun, he suddenly climbed out of the balcony without closing the window and fell straight onto the second-floor terrace where Ranyun was located. If it were an ordinary person who fell like this, they would probably have already bared their teeth in pain and lost their mobility. However, for zombies who have long lost their pain, this is nothing at all. Quickly, two zombies struggled to get up from the ground. The female zombie was the first to erupt, with her mouth wide open and pouncing directly at Ranyun's vital point. Sleeping trough. Don't come over. Ranyun, who was naked, was frightened and his Nepalese machete, which he held tightly in his hand, rushed out. The sharp cold light pierces through the night. A powerful thrust directly into the mouth of the female zombie. With a puff, the blade pierced out from the back of the zombie's head. After struggling a few times, the female zombie died under the mandatory nucleic acid test of Ranyun. But it was not as easy as Ranyun, feeling a bit relaxed. The male zombie, also dressed in plump pork belly, rushed towards Ranyun. Ranyun drew out his blade and quickly retreated. During the process, he glanced at him and couldn't help but smack his mouth and exclaim, "Isn't that right, big brother? Your little brother, like a flower loach underage, dares to play with such flowers." Roar. The male zombie let out a roar, as if expressing dissatisfaction with Ranyun's statement. It swung its claws and grabbed Ranyun, its strength as strong as an oil hammer piercing through the top. Fortunately, due to its bulky physique, the movements of male zombies are much slower than those of female zombies. For Ranyun, who has 10 points of agility, it is not too difficult to dodge. After quickly dodging the attack, Ranyun's body quickly turned around to the side and rear of the zombie, while the Nepalese curved sword in his hand swept across. Puff. Scarlet liquid splashed out, and the neck of the male zombie was cut in half. Ranyun drew his sword and continued to chop, and a huge head finally followed and rolled down to the ground. Who? After successfully killing the 3 zombies of the male and female beasts, Ranyun took a brief breath and immediately started cutting open their heads, successfully obtaining 3 mutated crystal nuclei. However, it was not yet possible for Ranyun to absorb these 3 mutated crystal nuclei. Roar. Bang 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 bang. A low roar of zombies and a loud knocking sound followed closely from the street below. Chapter 10. FF Level Equipment, Crossbow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn it. Ranyun's heart thumped for a moment, and he immediately realized that it must have been a recent battle that had disturbed the zombies on the street below. When he hurriedly arrived at the edge of the second-floor terrace and looked down. As expected, The zombies who had previously been bathed in a bloody halo to absorb the energy of the mutation had already swarmed to the entrance of the military store and began to crazily hit the falling shutter. According to the current situation, if left to develop, the external rolling shutter will eventually be knocked open. The tense situation made Ran Yun's face look a bit ugly. Fortunately, his 3 years of post-apocalyptic survival experience quickly led him to come up with a solution. After observing the situation on the entire street, Ran Yun quickly turned back to the room and brought the short-sleeved T-shirt he had taken off. After tearing it into more than 10 tablet-sized pieces of cloth, Ran Yun wiped the blood flowing from his shoulder wound onto these pieces of cloth. After finishing these tasks, Ran Yunxian performed a simple bandage on the wound on his shoulder to isolate the attraction of the smell of blood to the zombie. Afterwards, he took out more than 10 egg-sized pebbles from a nearby flower pot, wrapped them in blood-stained cloth, and used them as bait to throw the pebbles towards the street and further away. Pop! Under the clever control of Ran Yun, a pebble fell 1 meter away from the group of corpses. After the gathering of corpses smelled the smell of blood on the cloth. Just like suddenly finding some rare earthly delicacy, he frantically rushed towards the place where the stone fell. Roar! A large group of zombies gathered together, frantically fighting for the blood-stained cloth, even throwing the pebble directly into their mouths and swallowing it alive. Seeing that this method was indeed effective, Ran Yun immediately threw the remaining pebbles wrapped in cloth towards a further direction. After all the pebbles were thrown away, the vast majority of zombies were successfully attracted to a place 70 to 80 meters away from the military store. However, even so, in the end, there were still 7 or 8 stubborn zombies, continuously hitting the rolling shutter of the military store and refusing to leave. Facing several stones in the thatched pit, Ran Yun was pondering how to deal with them. Ding! The production of the crossbow has been completed. Please pay attention to receiving it. The considerate system prompt arrived as scheduled, immediately causing a surprised expression on Ran Yun's face. Immediately extract the completed props. Ran Yun eagerly issued the command. The next second, he only felt a sudden drop in his hand. A modified crossbow, with a cold black paint texture emanating from the whole body also appeared in Ran Yun's hands. When Ran Yun lifted the crossbow to observe, its related data information also appeared in text on Ran Yun's system panel. FF-level equipment, crossbow. On the basis of the crossbow body was comprehensively modified, with the addition of an automatic reciprocating device and a 20-shot arrow box to achieve automated continuous firing. Basic data: when equipped with an arrow box, the entire crossbow weighs 6 kilograms. Currently equipped with a carbon material sharp short crossbow arrow, it has a kinetic energy of 200 joules and can easily penetrate a 5 cm thick pine board within a distance of 30.50 meters. The effective range of damage can reach 150 meters, making it easy to penetrate with 100 steps. After reading through all the data of this crossbow, Ran Yun was truly overjoyed. In the early days of the apocalypse, having such an automatic weapon was truly a godsend. Even more miraculously, because it was a design blueprint conceived by Ran Yun himself, there was no sense of unfamiliarity when Ran Yun used and operated this crossbow. Skillfully insert the crossbow into the arrow box, then clip the box into the slot on the crossbow body. Pulling the bowstring and pulling it into the trigger, Ran Yun crouched down to aim, and the crossbow's crosshair aimed directly at the zombie below, who was hitting the door. After a series of actions, Ran Yun became like an archery master who had been using bows and crossbows for many years. Shoo! At the moment when Ran Yun pulled the trigger, a faint sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded. Pooshie! At a distance of just over 4 meters, the arrows shot by Ran Yun were as if pressing against his face, almost effortlessly piercing through the head of a zombie. After successfully killing the first zombie, the feeling in Ran Yun's heart at this moment can only be described in one word. Cool. Indeed, in this post-apocalyptic world, having such a long Range attack weapon with long-lasting endurance is the most enjoyable thing. With excitement in his heart, Ran Yun quickly moved the crosshair and kept pulling the trigger with his fingers. Shoo shoo. Sharp arrows pierced through the air one after another, and in less than a minute, the 8 zombies at the entrance of the military products store were easily eliminated by Ran Yun. Looking at his own achievements downstairs, Ran Yun held a crossbow and stepped on the edge of the terrace, wanting to shout up to the sky. Who else? With such a comfortable mood, Ran Yun stared at the 8 zombies he had killed downstairs, and naturally began to have thoughts of mutated crystal nuclei in their minds. Nowadays, with the comprehensive opening of the system, whether it is manufacturing weapons and props, increasing the storage space of the system, or improving the manufacturing level of the workshop, all cannot do without the support of mutation energy. And most importantly, those alien zombies born from the mutated energy not only feed on the flesh and blood of normal humans, but also devour the bodies of other zombies, especially the mutated crystal nuclei in the brain, to continuously enhance their own strength. So Ran Yun must hurry up and take action before other zombies come running. However, considering the potential danger that he might encounter after going down, Ran Yun decided to first equip himself with necessary weapons. After making up his mind, Ran Yun turned around and returned to the military goods store. After hearing the footsteps of Ran Yun, Huang Yu, who was curled up in the corner, lowered her head and sobbed softly, hurriedly raised her gaze. But when she saw Ran Yun clearly, her eyes immediately widened. Because of what? Because Ran Yun is still naked now. Why don't you wear clothes? What do you want to do? Looking at Ran Yun's current appearance, Huang Yu appeared panicked. Is Ran Yun planning to do something to herself? But didn't he already reject himself before? Did you back out now? A wave of wild thoughts surged in her mind, and at the same time, Huang Yu quickly noticed that Ran Yun's body seemed to be much healthier than before. A well-proportioned figure and sturdy muscles, although not explosive, give the impression that they contain endless power. The physical changes have made Ran Yun look thick, strong, and hard, full of a sense of security. If Ran Yun really wants it, then she simply won't resist. Perhaps even if he wants himself, he can still recite some affection and protect himself.